Hello there, kitties. Here's the stream again. It's been a busy day streaming today. Yeah, the vacuum towards, of course. It's been a busy day on various streams because I was on France, of course. Artemis landing, then the splashdown, the splendid splashdown on the Pacific Ocean near California. That's gonna be the historic moment because no one's been to the moon for 50 years. 50? Well, slightly less than 50, I guess. Apollo 17. Apollo 17, it would be 13th of December, I think. Choppy again, Eduardo. Looks fine on my end. Hi, Cynthia. Nice. Nice to see you here. Nice to see you. And I was at my friend's. I visited my close friend Aileen, who's been to the United States recently, and I got something nice from her. She was in Florida. She visited Cape Canaveral. Went to the NASA museum, and she gave me this nice bag. And what's quite remarkable about it is that I can put a ThinkPad in it, I can put vinyl records in it. Not just nice, but also quite useful. Much appreciated. For the time being, it will be right next to the desk here in my lab. Just like this. Stream is clear, Cynthia. Yeah, nice to hear that. 50 years minus a few days. Exactly, that's right. That's right. Like, when I watched Apollo 13, the last words after... the last words from... no, I don't remember who was it. Was it someone from Mission Control, or was it an astronaut? Anyway, the last words were the hope for the humanity to go back to the moon. At that time, when Apollo 13 was made, we didn't know that there would be the Artemis program. And after 50 years, the time has come again to go to the moon and beyond. And I'm so happy and so proud to watch the history being made on my eyes. Like... of course, I was born soon after the space shuttle crash. Was it the Challenger crash. The Challenger crashed 28th of January. I was born 2nd of April 1986. I could say it was between two major historical events, like the Challenger crash on one hand and the Chernobyl disaster on another. There are always some historical events at the time you're living. And when they happen, you don't always appreciate the impact they're gonna make. Yeah, that's a neat bag. That's a neat bag with a meatball! Hey, Cynthia, that's nice that the original mission control, they preserved it. Oh, damn it! That would be an awesome sight if I ever could go to the States. Just flying and all the lodgings and all the stuff, it's just so troublesome and so expensive for the Polish girl like me. So I'm not even sure that I will ever be able to go there. At least not alone, because maybe with Eileen, because she's got a lot of things figured out, but not alone. No chance. Oh, Maurice, that's also a nice one inside the VIB. A few years ago, was anything going on in the VIB when you were there? Was any rocket being prepared? Yeah, Challenger was a setback to the space program, and Chernobyl was the major setback to the nuclear energy. Chernobyl was basically what really sparkled the anti-nuclear movement, and we kinda suffer from it. Poland was going on to build a nuclear power plant in the 80s in Żarnowiec, but after the Chernobyl disaster, the construction was cancelled, even though some of it has been already built. Then the structure, the skeleton of the reactor building of the power plant, it was there, but the construction site was abandoned in the result of people becoming more and more against using the nuclear energy because it was thought to be too dangerous. There's, of course, there's also a thing about the safety of the reactors themselves, how they are designed, how they are built, the safety countermeasures. It's a thing that we constantly learn. The engineers who design that stuff, they constantly learn every minor incident, let alone a disaster like Chernobyl, like Fukushima. They learn from it. They develop better and better safety measures to avoid the possible pitfalls. Also, at least here in Europe, the process of processing the spent nuclear fuel, like most of it can be reused, regenerated. It's only a tiny percent that has to be stored in the nuclear waste storage facility. It can be done. It can be done in a very efficient way. It's just a matter of cost, whether we want to go and do it well, or whether we just wanna skimp on the process and put the waste into the ground, but do it cheaper, right? Yeah, Marius, we're gonna have our disagreements because I like the meatball more than the worm. But I like the fact that the modern space program uses both to keep the worm fans and meatball fans satisfied alike. That's a good one. Our part Poland's orbit. Yeah, as for the VIB, from what I remember, there was also the Constellation program, but I don't really know what it was about. Keep everyone happy. Spaghetti and meatballs. Oh yeah, worm and meatballs. I really don't like expired food. I don't like expired food. So, how did you like the landing, the splashdown? I watched it on Fran's channel, and I heard the audio from NASA stream on another computer because I was at my friend's Aileen, and Aileen was a little bit troubled by the chaosilator from FramLab. Now I can kinda understand why a lot of people don't like the theremin. And I think she wouldn't either. Like she needs harmony and music. And I can listen to all kinds of music, like noise music, industrial music, some experimental things. The harmony doesn't always have to be there. Oh, hi Al. Nice to see you. Missed the landing. It's a pity. Yeah, Cynthia, you're one of the people here. I think most of the people here saw the France stream. And from my point of view, sometimes the chat was getting a little bit chaotic. It appeared that the stream started way before it was scheduled, because it was scheduled to 17 hours UTC, but I was there something like 5 after 6 p.m. Local time. That would be 17 hours 5 minutes UTC, and the stream was going on pretty nicely by then. And I would say too nicely, too much of a shitstorm as it appeared, like from what Fran was saying, just moon landing denialists, flat earthers, that kind of stuff. I only got to smash one spammer with a gun hammer because some guy said the same thing 3 times or asked the same question 3 times as if he couldn't just call it a day. So I called a day for him. Happens. Better than Super Bowl's touchdown. Yeah, empty or not, I think if I visited it, I would be also impressed. Oh, Cynthia, definitely. I would totally watch space stuff over any sports because I'm absolutely not into any sports. So space stuff for me, science stuff for me, electronics stuff for me, sci-fi movies for me. Anything educational, anything about social issues like trans rights or autistic rights and disability issues and that kind of stuff. Some nice TV series like Stranger Things, for example, but not just that. I watch a lot of things on YouTube, on Netflix. Sometimes I don't have a life because of that. Yeah, NASA stream for 4 hours. That's nice. I once had a NASA stream for 8 hours from start to end. Like when Josh Cassada and Frank Rubio went on their first spacewalk on the ISS to attach the fixtures for the new solar panels. I wasn't always watching that because I had things to do, but the stream was running constantly for 8 hours for the entire spacewalk. Turned him flat to Earth, yeah. And Orion just got into the ship, that's nice. So the recovery operation was successful. I wonder what's going on. I wonder what's gonna be next, because this is the most important part, like recovering all the systems from Orion. Recovering the data, checking whether everything survived, everything is still functional because of the radiation that might make electronics go boom, not electro boom. Full bridge rectifier. Not exactly boom, but malfunctioning for sure. Yeah, this is a life worth living. And crack the whip on the trolls! Yeah, Al. Speaking of which... Persecutors... Perpetrators will be dominated. Resistance is futile. Yeah, getting the hard drives out of their Ziploc bags. And yeah, EVAs are long, those are long endeavors. Not just the part out there in the space, but also the preparations, like putting on the MU. It takes a lot of time. Putting it on, connecting, depressurizing. Before that happens, it's something like 1.5 or 2 hours. It's not like you just dress up and go outside. Was that the one I played in one of my other videos? Eduardo, what do you mean? Do you mean this one? I guess so. But today I don't have a corset on me. Yeah, Cynthia, always appreciating good references. I always do them. Electroboom, EEV blog, Big Clive. Do I have to mention Fran anyway? She's my absolute favorite. She's my favorite, she's my inspiration. I could say she's one reason for which I make those videos. That's what got me into starting my channel. Ooh. And by the way, got one thing to show you, cause 2 weeks, no, a week ago I was at a vinyl record fair with my queer friend, and we got a few records, and one of them is absolutely awesome. Let me share it with you. I think I might also make a video about it. One moment, please. Introducing the hardline according to Terence Trent D'Arby. This is the record where you have most of the super hits, like Wishing Well and Wishing Well and Sign Your Name. Everyone knows them. And the record, the album is absolutely breathtaking when it comes to the clarity of sound, when it comes to the selectivity. You just hear all those instruments so clearly. The balance between the treble and bass and mid-range, it's just perfect. I absolutely love it. How well it sounds, how well it was made. Absolutely splendid, and I recommend it to anyone who loves music, especially the 80s music, though it might not be my niche, might not be rock, might not be post-punk, new wave, all that kind of stuff, but I truly appreciate this album. Yeah, Cynthia, that one phrase from Big Clive. Fran is phenomenal. She is just so accomplished. Now she's like 56 years or 57, I guess. She's something like 20 years older than me because I'm 36. But back when she was in her 30s, I think that in her 30s she would have started working for electroharmonics for sure. If she was born 56 and if she started to work for electroharmonic, then that would make her something like 33 when she started working there. So I'm slightly older than her back then, and by then she had been running Phantom, and she had probably been doing some other businesses like videography, like contour corsets. I think was contour corsets later. I'm not sure. Anyway, if not for contour corsets, I wouldn't have learned about her in the first place. It's just that I found her in the late 2000s or early 2010s because I was looking up some info on corsetry. I was interested in that stuff, how corsets are built. It was kind of a special interest for me back then. So I found the Long Island Stay Lace Association and followed a lot of links from there, and I guess one of them was for contour corsets. That's how I learned about Fran, and I read her writings, her articles, both on engineering and on corsetry and on transgender issues. And then after that I forgot her name. And then back when I was here, I reminded myself about that trans girl from New York who made electronics and corsets, but I didn't know her name. found that out only by sheer accident, and then I decided that I can't make the same mistake again. That I dug deeper and deeper and deeper to get to know her better, her art, her writings, her YouTube videos. Then I became an avid follower and then an active person in her community. And then something around spring this year, when Fran started streaming, and after a few of her streams, there was just too much of a shitstorm going on in the chat, and she needed a moderator, so she asked on her stream if anyone would be willing to moderate the chat. So I answered yes. Became a mod. The first one. The second one would be Bob Darlington. And that's how it continued. My little story with Fran. And I would absolutely love to be with her in person, like visit her lab, work together. I feel kind of a sisterly affection for Fran. Like someone who shares a lot of similarities with me. Also a lot of differences. Like, she's a product of her age and her place. I'm a product of my age and my place. Our perspectives on almost everything will be different. Like, I was raised in a family who discouraged my ideas, though I wanted to be an entrepreneur, but there was always someone like my mother who cut my wings and didn't support my ideas or my creativity. Makes me kinda sad when I think about it. But and yeah, as I gained the life experience and thoughts on different matters, I went quite the anti-capitalist way. Maybe because capitalism, like we see now, with corporations being almost the only players, with the production moved overseas to China, doesn't really leave much hope for small entrepreneurs to make it out there. And if I wanted to make to do any business, I couldn't have any money to start with. All I would have would be the lab, the materials that I have, my skills, It would be everything that I could start with. Not very optimal. Yeah, let's read the chat now. Yeah, Fran is a really hard-working person and I admire her for that. Like, I'm sometimes very surprised how you can, when you can work so hard and not go really crazy from that. I couldn't do it myself. Oh, Cynthia, you're 49. I thought you were older than Fran. Your career is old enough to drink. Yeah, I really think that us trans women are great. Us trans women make great supporters, and like there's, I believe in the sisterhood. I believe in a community where we support each other for all those hard times, and like they say, birds of feathers stick together. And I also made it a goal for myself to promote trans women in tech, women in tech in general. Like it has become an interest for me. Yeah, Cynthia, there was a contour corsets. If you Wayback Machine the contourcorsets.com all the way back to something like 2012 or something like that, and take a look at what she was making. Mighty impressive by how well they were made. I would absolutely love to listen to Fran's story about why she started contour corsets, why she became interested in corsetry at all, how she learned sewing, how she learned designing and making those corsets. Also, I think that I would love to learn myself. Not exactly doing it commercially, but for myself, for a few of my friends. I think I would really like to do that. Yeah, rebooting the Friendtone channel, I also like that one. Wonder where she's gonna take it. But I'm not gonna count on her getting back into making the Friendtone pedals. Like maybe if not for the geographical barrier, maybe I could learn doing the production and and she would do the more creative stuff. Wishful thinking. I would absolutely love to work with her. Learn from her. Yeah, connections with museums. That's why she got into the Apollo moon landing anniversary program, I think. The only museum I've got connections with is the Book Art Museum where I worked, and a few museums, a few printing museums in the Netherlands, but that would be all. In the Netherlands, one in Belgium. It's more like my friend John Cornelis over there in the Netherlands has the connections. He has connections with print shops all over the world. And I am the one who built a modern control device for a magnificent machine that was designed in the late 19th century and early 20th century, the monotype composition caster. This machine was, in fact, it was a part of a system of two machines, because the other one was a typesetting machine, a keyboard. The composition caster used a square or rectangular case with brass or bronze matrices for the characters of a given size and typeface. Not just one alphabet, but a few of them, because you could have regular, you could have italic, you could have bold, you could have small capitals, uppercase and lowercase, of course. That would be quite a lot of characters. Then if you also count in some accents like umlaut in German, or French accents, or Polish accents, the character set tends to grow quite a lot, and most of the time you can't always put them all in the single matrix case, but for the projects, for the work you are setting, sometimes you make substitutions. Anyway, the machine has a matrix case that moves over the mold. Then the mold is the part that where a single sort of type. Do I have one? Probably not. Another. I do. One moment. Oh no, was it? Nah. I don't. I thought I did. Anyway, the matrix case moves relative to the mold that allows for selecting the characters you are gonna cast. Something like the golf ball in the IBM Selectrix typewriter, but the matrix case is rectangular, and it has It has like how was it named? It has concave rather than convex characters, so that the hot metal fills both the cavity of the mold and the cavity in the matrix for the character. Then the mold, then the matrix case is raised again. The type is pushed out of the mold, taken out to the type channel, and every revolution of the machine's main shaft, the machine reads the sequence of holes in the paper tape, nicknamed the ribbon. It's basically a 31-bit parallel interface. It reads the sequence by passing compressed air through the holes in the ribbon, directs the pneumatic signal to 3 blocks of miniature cylinders and pistons, nicknamed air pins. And whenever an airpin rises, it blocks the movement of tongues and levers, a very intricate mechanism that transposes the position where the tongues stopped on the pin to the coordinates on the matrix case, selecting the character by a combination of different air signals and holes in the ribbon. Then the matrix case is lowered. Then the hot metal pump that resides in a melting pot is raised to make a nozzle contact with the bottom socket on the mold. Then the pump injects the hot metal into the mold and matrix, and then the type is removed from the mold, like I said. It's a dance. It's a dance. It's a rhythmic clicking of the monotype composition caster that you can see on one of my intros. Let me show it to you. You could hear the clicking of the monotype machine in the background, but the image, the video was flipped to make the type readable, because normally it's inverted, and on the left side, at one point, you could see the matrix case descending on the mold in one of the extreme positions, and you could see the type being gradually pushed out into the type channel. Then then the galley mechanism pushed the finished line out to the galley, and the machine made whole pages of composed text out of individual characters, contrary to linotype that first put the matrices together, then cast a slug of metal, removed the slug from the mold, and into the buffer, shall we say, where the finished lines were stored after making them. And if you wanted to adjust the length of the line, you had to cut those slugs down with a circular saw, adjusting them to match the column width in your typesetting project. Back to the chat. Oh, Cynthia, nice to hear that I inspired you. Oh, I forgot about woofling again. I really have to make myself an alarm clock. Nixies, VFDs, maybe. Should I really integrate it in the MTZ VFDC LK project? Maybe. Anyway, yeah, it was waffle time. Oh, Bull's a rider crap again. Where was I again? Winner, winner, chicken dinner. Oh yeah, I love that catchphrase. Learned it from Eevee blog. And yeah, Kitty, of course. There's no Keritech without Kitty. Coco is an integral part of this stream. Hug me! Like one of my corsets, Eduardo? Oh well. Oh well. Birds of feather fly together. Into the space. To the moon and beyond. Oh, Pedal Playhouse! Nice to see you! Nice to see you, Joanne. Just read this. Frank has a timeless beauty indeed. And I am vastly inspired by the aesthetics she went for, because even before I learned about her, I was already in the graphic subculture. I was already into the music, into the aesthetics. Though it was long before my transition, but I liked the Betty Page / pinup girl / Rachel in Blade Runner style aesthetics. I was really drawn to that kind of hairstyles, makeup. Trying to do it now. My body is far from perfect, but I will still do it. Yeah, and smart too. She's one of the smartest people I know about. Of course, trans people should really have the same opportunities as cis people. About that video on foot switches, Cliff is a very fine company in my book, like Carling, like Switchcraft. That I had some good experience with their quarter-inch jacks, and good stuff. I've got a lot of vintage TRS quarter-inch jacks in my lab. Once I did a video about them. If I weigh one in my hand, most of this it's cheap-ish crap, but I've got two of them lying around. I guess I've got some of them used in my project. Got them from the medical university when there was a clearance in one of the labs. And I wanted to get rid of a lot of old stuff. And I appreciate old stuff. Got a few things of beauty and joy forever from that. My secondary hi-fi system also comes from there. It's a solid-state amplifier and speakers that I have above my desk right here. Yeah, fangirling. Exactly. That's what I have on the intro, the monotype, the composition caster. Yeah, that device, it's the technology that is quite dangerous now. I worked with it for something like 5 years. Basically, I was the know-it almost all at the museum. I was the only... At one point, I was probably the only person, unless there are still some old-timer operators around. Most of them would be retired, if not deceased anyway. But I could venture a guess that I was the youngest monotype caster operator in Poland at the time I worked at the museum. Learned the ins and outs of monotype technology. Learned how to operate it, how to maintain it, how to adjust it, how to solve problems, repair it. Sometimes even make some parts that were missing and needed. Like your regular monotype girl. The air sound is real because the monotype caster uses low pressure compressed air, 1 bar 15 psi, both for controlling the air pins and for cooling the matrix case, because if a matrix has contact with molten metal, then it will heat up, and heating up will lead to metal expanding, and this has to be kept in check, because if it expands too much, the character width will be way off. Also, the contact with the mold might be a bit worse. So all the splendid quality of monotype set text and page, it would quickly go to trash if not keeping the proper temperature both of the mold and of the matrix. That's why cooling is used, and the mold is cooled with water. There are channels drilled in the molds where the water flows, and you first before you start casting the text, you have to adjust the water flow. Then you can turn on the caster, and after putting the ribbon on and enabling the readout, the machine will start making characters. And what I did, it was getting rid of the whole ribbon and the process of making it by attaching a block of metal, like brass, like aluminum, to the machine's paper tower, as it was called, the readout, the pneumatic readout device, and using solenoid valves, I could direct the air signals into the machine, and controlling the solenoid valves is a trivial matter with a Raspberry Pi, two MCP23017 chips, and 4 ULN 2803 drivers. That's how I built it, because I saw the caster control projects using discrete transistors. I saw some exotic integrated circuits, and decided that I want none of that overcomplicated rubbish, and do it as simple and as reliable and as compact as I could get it. So I designed a printed circuit board that would sit on the top of a Raspberry Pi. I designed it back when the Raspberry Pi B Plus entered the market, and I loved the form factor of that Raspberry, like using the mounting holes in a square pattern with the GPIO port on one side, taking almost all the length. I did some research on the Raspberry Pi hat format that would be used as an extension module for the B+ and onwards. I didn't implement the full hat specification because the Raspberry Pi hat has an EEPROM module that stores the device tree overlay, and I didn't. I included it in my PCB design, but I didn't really program it. Anyway, I went for surface mount components because of the size considerations to put the two MCP 23017s, the four ULN 2803s, and also the the connectors, the filter capacitors, some additional stuff. I wouldn't be able to do it on this form factor with through-hole technology, so I decided to design a SMT board and have all the surface mount stuff assembled by the PCB manufacturing house. Then I did the through-hole stuff, and that works very well. It has been used. I built 3 of those controllers. One is for the Book Art Museum, and 2 of them are for 2 print shops in the Netherlands. I've got stuff to make yet another RPi2 caster interface electronics, but the most important part I would have to get would be the solenoid valves. It uses a kinda specific part model because John had a set of valves made by Matrix in Italy. They look quite like a stepper motor in when it comes to the size and shape. 8-channel solenoid valves. The control device uses 31 channels, so four groups of valves. It's all you need to use for controlling the caster. Okay, let's read the chat some more. Yeah, Cynthia, the video was just inverted left to right. Just flip it. Commercial artist, nice. Automatic woofler. Yeah, the Keritech Electronics Auto Woofler. Wondering how I would do that? Interesting stuff. Yeah, Cynthia, musical instruments, of course they use the TRS jacks, Studio Gear uses them, synthesizers use them, although it's more of a thing with older, larger synthesizers than the modern Eurorack style, because every Eurorack module I encountered used mini jacks. It's like space saving at the cost of reliability, at the cost of durability of the connectors. Like, if you get something this big, it can well made, it can survive many thousands of mating cycles. The 3.5 millimeter phone jacks, they are smaller, but it comes at a cost of lifespan, of durability. And that's why I really don't like them in headphones, for that matter. Now, what's about the mad that I mentioned about Blade Runner? Snowdrift, like the Blade Runner soundtrack. By the way, the Blade Runner soundtrack. This is my favorite from the late Vangelis. I think I will need to listen to it again. It's been quite a lot of time since I last did it. Yeah, Cynthia. Both I had a great educational experience at the museum, and the visitors had an educational experience at the museum, because I was there. I could speak English fluently, and I could basically go on and on and on and on and on and on, talking the visitor's ear off about all things monotype. And even some Americans who visited the museum complimented me on my English. Yeah. Equivalent 2003, the 7 transistors in a enclosure. And the first prototype, as a matter of fact, I've got the enclosure, I've got the electronics of my first prototype of the monotype composition cluster controller, together with the Raspberry Pi Model B, the revision 2. I will show it to you. I did it on perf boards with through-hole components or soldered by hand, and it worked perfectly. Meow, meow. And as for my surface mount skills, I only learned it 1.5, 2 years ago, in 2000. And in 2021, when I was building two vacuum tube testers, one of them is mine, and another one of them is for an acquaintance and customer of mine back from my old city. I don't use a woofler, but a woofler is Big Clive's invention that allows Clive to power some liquid. The woofler is put on the gas tank like you use for filling the lighters, and it has holes. Clive powers some liquid into the woofler because it has a shape of a funnel and some holes on the bottom. When he presses on the woofler, the gas fills the holes and makes foam out of the liquid. And then Clive uses a lighter to light it on fire, and it makes some nice flame. That's what the woofler is. Yeah, nice keyboard, Cynthia. Pyrotechnic sounds, indeed. Yeah. Taught me a solid monologue. It's Kilo Oscar, Kilo Oscar. Butane and washing up liquid bubbles, yeah. It is a fun device. And I do all my wooflers, I do all my woofling with hairspray and a lighter. It's 11 minutes until I show you, and then I guess I will go over to the bench. Right now at the bench, I've got the radio restoration project. It's going pretty well. I replaced the capacitors and intermediate frequency filters. Started filtering. Then I started aligning the oscillator. Not sure if it's Hartley or Meissner or Colpitts. But the oscillator still needs to replace a cap or two, because all those old mica capacitors, they lost a lot of their capacitance, driving the radio out of tune. And without replacing the caps, it wouldn't work, unfortunately. Though I try to keep the radios as original as I can. I also replaced the audio frequency part capacitors, but I did it in quite a specific way, because the original caps are paper in glass tubes sealed with some pitch at the ends. So I just removed the innards of the capacitor, replaced it with a 22 nanofarad 400 volt MKP or MKT, something like that. Anyway, modern foil capacitor, extended the leads of it, and then used some hot melting glue on the end to seal it, put it back into the circuit. Okay, yeah, mica, that it depends, because the capacitors I was dealing with, let me show you. This is the mica cap. Basically, 2 plates of phenolic with a bunch of plates of mica and metal foil between them. And unfortunately, they deteriorate pretty badly. Those are not the sealed type mica capacitors, because the sealed, like the Cornell de Villiers shown in the Open Circuits book, they are in fact very good, like Mr. Carson says. But those non-sealed mica caps, they do deteriorate over time, probably because of moisture. Yeah, Ginger just ended. Nice. Hi, Chipmunk, by the way. My skirt? What skirt do you mean, Cynthia? Yeah, the way pitch smells. Ah, my outfit. Oh, yeah. I got a thing for alternative fashions. Six minutes until the UFO. Yeah, colophony. It's kinda how it's named here in Poland. California. Not California. I also do have quite a lot of that. And I like the smell. Though I try not to inhale too much of that. And speaking of which, any products of thermal decomposition of pyrolysis, they can be carcinogenic. That's also why you use fume extractors. It's not because of lead vapors, because the lead is close to its melting points, and the metallic bonds hold the metal close together, so there's almost no chance of any lead evaporating and ending up in your lungs. It was a common misconception through decades, back when the monotype and linotype was mainstream technology. It was any lead poisoning, any chronic lead poisoning was mostly due to touching the stuff for extended periods, not washing hands, not because of inhaling the vapors. The thing that was noxious on monotype, on the other hand, was that the mold, it was lubricated with oil, and some amount of the oil dripped out of the mold on the surface of the hot metal where it burned, where it went through thermal decomposition, leaving some charred residue, and it gave off a lot of fumes that were in fact carcinogenic. And also, if you heat the rosin up, it will start to burn, also giving off some noxious, volatile organic compounds. Alternative so out of character. Nah. Free radicals. I'm a punker! I'm a free radical! Yeah. Grill burgers, yeah. Yeah, if your soldering iron is hot enough that you are inhaling lead vapor, the soldering iron is probably liquid as well. That's it, cancel the space program. Stan, you're promoting the cancel culture too much. Yeah, bitumen. That advice is pure gold, or lead. Alchemists considered the journey from lead as the most common and lowly, to gold as the most noble. Both are heavy metals. Okay, this is the time. Got a real deal Zippo. Change the light over here. Hope it still lights up. Like the petrol from the Zippo, it always tends to leak out, and I have a hard time lighting it after it's been laying for some time. So I will probably just go with the gas lighter. Gas lighter, none of that gaslighting rubbish. And woofle! That was a big one. Come to me, Clive. Learn from me. Okay, I guess it's gonna be time to move over to the bench. I've got... my ceiling is something like 3.5 meters above the floor, so the room is quite high, and I don't really have to worry about burning the ceiling with my woofling. And there are no smoke detectors whatsoever. Yeah, Chipmunk, I'm not a smoker. I always found it quite stupid. There are better ways to commit suicide. But seriously, back when I was a kid, my mom smoked, my dad smoked. I hated the stuff. I suffocated from the smoke. And I had a strict no smoking in my room rule. Be careful, yeah. I will be careful. Okay, to the bench. To the Batcave. Got a tablet above my bench for controlling the OBS on the computer. Pretty useful. At the desk, I use a mouse for controlling OBS. And at the bench, I've got a tablet right above that I can reach with my hand. So I can change the scenes if I want to show you. If I want to show you the overview, I can go back to the camera at the desk. That's been a little bit of time and effort figuring out how to set up OBS. But generally, after I set the scenes, I don't really have to do anything more with OBS. It's just there. It doesn't get into the way. I can use it and I can trust it. Though sometimes a software update breaks some functionality. Had a bunch of problems with OBS in my life. Let's see. Let's get the chat on the laptop at my bench. That's the old edition. And why does YouTube keep pushing the top chat thing on me every time I stream, every time I watch the streams? I don't want any of that top chat rubbish. Give me my full chat experience back. Anyway, gonna show you a bunch of my old projects. Oh wait, let me read the chat first. Yeah, Cynthia, about the video setup, I also started from just a mobile phone. Then I bought some second-hand webcams, and what is even more important, USB condenser microphones. I used the Behringer C1U USB condenser mix one above my bench and the other one at my desk. And I kinda agree that sound quality is the thing that makes or breaks YouTube videos. Cancel YouTube. Please, Stan, I was about to cancel YouTube. You wouldn't be watching this stream if I did. Fully agreed, Chipmunk, that if you click the live chat, it should be stored in a cookie. It's so simple, but Google doesn't really want to do that. Filming on a potato. As long as it's powered by GLaDOS. Okay, so one of them projects, actually the first PCB that I designed in computer software This is basically I board with an Arduino Pro Mini, and any number of those modules can be used in a system for synchronized mode switching and shutter release on multiple GoPro Hero 3 Plus cameras. I did it once for one company. Almost all through-hole technology. One SMD component here. Yeah, Google wants to show you ads. Yeah. Then another project. Back in my oldest lab in my back when I lived in my old city in the basement. The first lab was in the basement. Volttech, that's how I named that lab. Volttech Electronics. This was a security system that I designed and built for the basement, for the cell in the basement that we had a few times someone broke into the basement and then I wanted to prevent that or scare the burglar away with an alarm system. This alarm panel is quite modular. The main module was in fact a kit. That is AVT 2109, an alarm panel, and it uses 4010 CMOS chip. No microcontrollers, no microprocessors. Only an old-style digital electronics chip. Let's do a teardown because I might be reusing the enclosure in one of my future projects. Maybe some of the other parts as well. I'm pretty curious about the schematic of the device. Interesting thing about this capacitor, was it I put it into a place marked R13, a resistor, most probably a modification that I did on the circuit. Not sure why. Teardown of an old pre-Keritech electronic device. All those years, all those screws still holding strong. Also some modifications here and here. And here is the more interesting part of the project, because this board and a board underneath it, this is a combination lock, the keypad controller. It uses it uses 4001 chips as decoders and 4066 chip as a bunch of latches, and it has a commutation field of sorts right here, where I could assign the digits to positions, basically programming the code as a bunch of jumper settings. And here, look at this discombobulation. I wouldn't make an electronic device like this anymore. Let's separate those boards. And a nice four pole double throw 24 volts DC relay that I salvaged from some switchgear modules that I found. And look at this discombobulation. Ugly stuff, but somewhat intricate with the multi-tiered construction right here. But the diode and the resistor thing, it's just so much discombobulation. Let's move on to carrying it down some further. Just a little board with current limiting resistors. Nothing to see here. Move along. And also some empty contacts to connect the wires. Also some mains wiring and a mains switching relay that controls a flashing light. Total teardown time! At least I will get some stand-ups for my projects. Just a simple relay. No. This part goes out to the trash. It also does. Let's take a look at the bottom board. A slight bit of discombobulation, but not that much. 4106, 4106 and 4022. That's the integrated circuits that I've got on the board. And an old Soviet relay that probably comes from an electronics experimenting kit. Like Sylvia, you mentioned the Elenco kit from Fran that I also saw one in your videos. And my brother back in the 80s, maybe even in the 70s, had the Soviet counterpart. And that's how I got into electronics, by connecting those spring contacts with wires and doing some projects with the thing, reading schematics, and tinkering with stuff. The LEDs. Anti-sabotage micro contact. And the teardown is almost complete. The teardown is complete. The enclosure is disassembled and ready to reuse in some of the future projects, probably some kind of a home automation device. And since we're done with this part, it's time to read the chat. What's going on? High current traces, yeah. Yeah, YouTube has the worst trolls. I guess so. Especially the copyright trolls. Those have been bugging not just Fran, but a lot of other channels. Seems like as long as my channel is not monetized, I will be pretty safe from those. Not sure if that affects only the monetized channels or all of them. Yeah, making videos is not a priority. For me, it's like making videos is it's just putting my stuff out there for the world to see. Like I do it more for self promotions and going places, being noticed in the world, because that might give me some contacts, some friends, some acquaintances. Should help me grow, even if just a little bit. It's it's not about producing content, it's about expressing myself. I guess this is what YouTube was about in the old days, before it became so commercialized, before it became focused on creating content for the sake of statistics, of the algorithms, of making money on YouTube, on maximizing the view count. And my channel is not about the numbers of views. It's about people. It's about community. It's about myself. It's about what I do. Yeah, trolls are brutal. Trolls, haters, transphobes, that kind of stuff. Sometimes, sometimes also people who try as hard as they can to get into your panties. And then the chasers. By the way, a few days ago I had one on my Instagram account. A chaser who sent me an unsolicited photograph of his penetrating organ. Not my kind. I wish he had sent me a photo of his brain. But I guess there wouldn't really be anything to make a photo of. Yeah, Chipmunk, from before you had responsibilities. 16 number and record. Quite a lot. My system used only 4 digits. Only 4 digits because otherwise I wouldn't remember that. Code lock chips. Guess I did it all the hard way with CMOS chips and gates for decoding the key presses. Because the keypad that I used for this project had coordinate readout. If you press 1, then it would turn on the switches for the first column and first row. And then, in order to decode them, I used a bunch of logic gates in CMOS integrated circuits. Oh yeah, Chipmunk. Hand-drawn PCBs and hand-etched. When I was doing electronics with PCBs in my old days, like some solid-state power amplifiers, I just drew the traces on the copper with a correction pen, then etched it either in a solution of ferric chloride or in a mixture of diluted muriatic acid and hydrogen peroxide. Yeah, Cynthia, that's a small relay for that number of poles. It's from quite a highly packed telecommunications switchboard assembly. 8-layer board. Quite a lot. Spatial assembly. Let me guess. Where's that? Here it is. Maybe not 8, but 3. 3-layer per board. Oh wow, that would make 4. I never made a double-sided board by hand, although the board for the Artemis II caster was double-sided, and I designed it in Eagle. Yeah, Chipmunk, as for making the printed circuit boards, I would highly recommend what Mr. Carson has to say about it and what Fran has to say about it. And my friend Alana has a bubbler for etching those boards. Yeah, so Rube Goldberg. Making explosives. Oh, seriously? Nitric acid is not allowed? Bloody hell. Such a basic chemical. Oh, maybe not basic because it's acidic. But generally, one of the acids that are most often used in chemical labs, and that stuff is illegal? What the hell? The world has gone crazy! Yeah, those spring terminals, they were genius and they were used both in the Allied and Soviet technology. Yeah, Sylvia, as for the brain power on this chat, well, there's more brain power on Fran's chats, but I think it might have more brain power density, like if you sum all the brain power and divide it by the number of people active in the chat, it might exceed what was happening on today's or yesterday's friends chat. And 100% of TikTok. I was considering moving out there. Please, no generation bashing here. Like I know your generation X, I'm a pretty early millennial, and we will probably have our disagreements about different things and issues with Generation Z or Alpha. But I really don't like the whole generation bashing things, and I really didn't like it when Fran did it, because she did sometimes. Makes me sad. Yeah, the geek shall inherit the earth. Amen to that. As RuPaul says, can I have an amen? Don't leave it too late to kill the current owners. I wonder what you are talking about, Chipmunk. And Cynthia, the enclosure from that project, it was basically an enclosure for alarm systems. So a proper box for the projects, indeed. Yeah, Chipmunk, 2nd of April, I've got my birthday. It's gonna be 37. Gonna be 37. And I hope I will have an electric guitar by then. Because I'd really love to have one and learn to play it. Yeah, absolutely. I think about those copyright trolls. Fully agreed, Chipmunk. Well, Andy, I don't want to be massive on the internet. I just want to have any presence. Sylvia, you said it so nicely about those chasers that they can buy me a scope, but I don't want to see a pic on their private. That's such a nice way to say it. It can even be an old vacuum tube Tektronix scope. But the thing down there, I don't fucking care. No brain to take a pic of, that's what I said. About those etching solutions, Chipmunk, the the first one, the first one I got was a plastic container full of ferric chloride I got from the physics lab in my middle school. I was quite friends with my physics and chemistry teachers. Was one of the best and most interested kids when it came to science. I was their favorite. And I got lots of old stuff from the back room of the physics lab. Now I pity that I took apart so much of that stuff and that I destroyed so many vacuum tubes that I got from disassembling some old reel-to-reel tape recorders to see what's inside the vacuum tube. And then a few years later they became popular and more expensive. Makes me wish I had a DeLorean to go back in time and tell myself, my older self, to save as much of that stuff as I could and to invest in some old tubes on electronics free markets. And if I did that, I probably would be in the same place as Manly Labs. Even Manly, a owner of Manly Labs, a company that makes vacuum tube studio equipment and high-end hi-fi audio gear in Chino, not China, in California. Quite an inspiration for me when it comes to designing amplifiers, when it comes to doing audio electronics. I would definitely love to work with her. There are so many companies that I would love to work with. Maybe even Electro-Harmonics. Yeah, another fan reference. You can always dream. Dreaming costs nothing. I dream of many things, like going into space. Oh, Cynthia, as for that scope that I restored, that is skipping. Yeah, I guess it skipped again. The chat. HCl and H2O2 I found the recipe in an old DIYer magazine from the 1980s. As for agents, I tried ferric chloride, I tried muriatic acid and hydrogen peroxide. I didn't try ammonium persulfate. A terrorist to own nitric acid. Bloody hell. So the UK has turned into the dystopian government. Yeah, and as for reusing the components, I have grown very used to this concept and to the practice. It's all because hello, Kitty. It's all because I do my electronics lab on a budget tighter than ever grinder slices. This catchphrase is mine. My original. I do my lab on a very tight budget. So buying the parts is not really an option. Salvaging them from devices, on the other hand, or getting them second hand, it's much more realistic. Wanna show you? Want me to show you some cool things that I salvaged? Just look at this thing of beauty and joy forever. It's the Telefunken EL156. Pretty much an equivalent of a KT88, but with a non-typical base that doesn't really match the 5+3 steel tube sockets, but I took five of them out of a power supply from a device named Klishograph. They were used as test tubes in a regulated DC power supply. As test tubes or in amplifiers, not exactly sure. But those things can easily go into hundreds of euros per piece. The tubes that I got, they were used. They are not new. But I'm planning to build an amplifier, a stereo amp, using two of those per channel. And I got them for free. So sometimes you just have to grab the opportunity to lay your hands on some cool stuff from the bygone era. Either by buying them cheap from someone who doesn't really know their true value, or by finding some good source of electronics. Sometimes scrapyards are good for that. Yeah, Eduardo, reading a manual caliper, that's what I do on almost a daily basis. I find it so natural. I can also pretty much use a slide rule. Yeah, Cynthia, there are some decent and smart millennials, of course. Hopefully I'm one of them. Cancel account and throw PC in the trash. Yeah, I will still have to make the video of that portable scope of how to use it, of its functions. Yeah, it's Coco again on the bench. Hey Coco, the viewers of the stream like your ex. Interesting. Plasma pedal. I might be interested in a teardown of that one. Wonder what's inside. I need to work with NASA. Friend would be so mad. More likely if I end up working with ESA. But I'd like I'd love it if Fran worked with NASA. Cynthia, I outrank you? You have quite a lot of academic accomplishment. You're a member of IEEE. Who am I compared to you? let alone Fran. Okay. The chat is processed as for now. So it is time to take a look at another device in a reused enclosure from another prototype. Not mine. A rack mount enclosure 3 units high with some crappy descriptions. And the original was used for the same purpose as the one that I built in it. Let's look what's going on in there. This is the device that I mentioned on the stream. Oh, for crying out loud, where is that tool? Okay, here it is. There's some crap going into the screw head. Yeah, Chipmunk, the hell is that? You will see. Punk house. Okay, it's pretty empty inside. The mace transformer, the full bridge rectifier, filter cap and voltage converter. This is the board that I was talking about because this device it's just the prototype of the RPI caster control device, the Raspberry Pi composition caster controller device that works with a Raspberry Pi. See this vintage berry? That's the one. Model B revision 2. The revision 2 is different from revision 1 because it has 2 mounting holes that were a godsend. Otherwise I wouldn't be able to use them if I wanted to include it in any project without making custom brackets or something like that. Let's zoom on in what's going on here. So this is the berry, not blackberry. And this is the interface board with two MCP 23017 chips. I'll lift the connectors to give you a better view. And for ULN 2803 chips, then the production version has all those chips in surface mount version. They are way smaller, and also half of the interface, one MCP and two ULNs are on the top side of the board, and the other half is on the bottom side. And then the toroidal transformer, I think it's quite oversized for this project. I could use something smaller if I had. This transformer probably comes from a UPS. And there's a ribbon cable going over to the 37 pin D-sub-miniature connectors, and this nameplate is a little joke. It comes from a decommissioned composition caster made for a Dutch market. I got a better view on that one. Even the nameplate's 26773. It was quite a late model, 1960s. But even those nameplates back in the day, they were pretty standard, and now you would be hard pressed to find any one of them on modern machines. Thing of beauty, joy forever. And the device also has a bunch of LEDs indicating the status of the outputs. And this is the board with current limiting resistors. And then, of course, the power switch. And the Raspberry Pi shutdown and reboot switch. That would be it for this project. It's 19 minutes until 3 AM here. I think I would like to finish at something around 3. Not push it all the way until 4 hours. But I might show you one or two of my earlier projects from the VaultTech days. Let's read the chat. Yeah, Chipmunk, I was also drinking some alcohol. Some mixture from my friend Aileen. hold my vodka. I love coffee. Chipmunk, what do you have against coffee? Yeah, blackberry. Oh, Cynthia, you're a tiger after all, right? This, this is the prototype. I crewed the early prototype of the monotype controller. The production version is a lot smaller. Controller thing. Yeah. Okay, time to show you another one. The first one, it's quite discombobulated now. I had to salvage some parts from it. It was supposed to be a preamplifier that could handle the line and microphone signals, the mono preamp that is. Looking at the front panel, it had a zoom on out. It had a power switch and pilot light, a VU meter, a standby switch and pilot light. Not sure what this was, some potentiometer, probably the master volume, the bass and treble tone controls, and two input channels with a bunch of switches. One of them was for phantom power, and the other ones I don't remember what they were for. Probably for switching the levers or something like that. All wired point to point on strip boards that I made myself. And then the way I built those strip boards, I used aluminum rivets and eyelets. This is a trick that I learned from Piotr Stanisz of Black Dog Amplification. We worked together on a few projects. pretty unusual project because I used EF80 wideband pentodes, a bunch of CAN capacitors, ECL86 as the voltage regulator tube for the power supply. There are microphone transformers, the step-up kind. Here I will certainly want to reuse in some microphone preamp project. And this aluminum bracket comes from a damaged reverb tank, and I assembled it on springs suspension, so that it protects it against microphonics, against any vibrations going over to the tubes. And the rear panel, just a bunch of jack connectors, XLR input for the other channel because one of them is on the front. XLR line output and some DIN connectors and ground loop separation switches, a few fuse holders, but I guess that not all those fuse holders are active, were active. Those two were just meant to hold the spare fuses, and those two were in fact used in the project. Now what's going on? Oh, Aileen, nice to see you. Vomit 36% muriatic acid. Yeah. I do have quite a lot of projects. I've been running this lab since early 2000s, so I might not have a huge vault of stuff like Fran does, but I do have my share of unfinished projects, of decommissioned projects, of projects that never made it to the bench and stayed as schematics in my archives. Lots of things happened since early 2000s. Why would anyone put acid to the coffee? I don't solder the wires to aluminum. If you meant the mounting bracket, then it's just an eyelet for the ground connection. If you meant the CAN capacitors, there's a big eyelet underneath the CAN that can be soldered. Ah, you mean the strip, right? It's just eyelets that were riveted to the phenolic. It's just as simple as that. Electro-nostalgic. Oh, sorry about the shit at work, Arlene. I drank something like 2 mugs of coffee, but make it large ones, half a liter large, so I would drink 1 liter of coffee a day. And let's do the final. It's pretty simple. Back when I had a 42 unit rack in my room, this panel, in fact, it was flipped like this. This panel was a power control device for my hi-fi equipment. Looking at the front panel, we can see the on and off buttons, the fuses for 2 circuits, and the pilot lights that I retrofitted with LEDs, and 2 low voltage pilot lights. And in the back compartment, let's get a better view on that. Just a bunch of power outlets and a multi-pole connector that I once found when I was urban exploring some old factory. There was a mains interference filter here, but I salvaged it for another project. Some other connectors for the control signals here. A big ass mains conductor, a mains transformer for the 24 volts DC power supply, some relays on the board, and some voltage regulators on the heatsink. And of course the full bridge rectifier and the filter cap. This wire was used for powering the fan unit that was attached at the top of the rack, and this power control panel was the topmost device I had in my rack. I could say that I had quite a rack back then. 42 units high and 1 meter deep. I didn't take it to this lab because it was just too deep. Yeah, Cynthia, I had a 42U server rack that I once bought second hand. Quite cheap for a rack. And it's almost free. As planned, I will be wrapping up. Oh, Aileen, you're only 40 years old. Does that count as old as fuck? Oh yeah, Cynthia. Fully agreed on that one. Okay, let's get back to the desk. Did I just damage my dice? No, hopefully not. Oh, Chipmunk, Aileen is of Dutch American origin and lives in Poland. We are close friends in real life. And by the way, while the stream is still running, let's let's sum up the poll that I had right at the beginning of the week. Looks like I'm 254 subscribers now. It is time. I guess this week I will go into 2-byte number. And as for the poll, it was 19 answers on that one, with 68% of them encouraging me to carry on doing the channel, the streams, the videos. None of them told me to cut my losses and stop or do more rants. Just 5% that would be a single person. I suspect it was Zizek from Pabianice, suggesting that I should move over to creating in Polish, and 26% over, that would be over a quarter of the votes, that I should message some creators directly to give me a signal boost. Well, kinda. I asked Fran about it at the end of her stream, but I'm not sure if she read it. Anyway, I will probably have to try again. The only concern is that she's not really likely to subscribe to anyone. She got a few subscriptions, but not that much. So I guess that if I ended up in her recommended channels list, that would be quite special. We'll see. And of course, I promote my my videos, my channel on a bunch of Discord channels like Usagi Electric and Big Life and Technical Family. So it's basically a matter of promotion and also the video that I made about open circuits. It's another thing that I promoted it more than other videos because I think that it was at least one of the best of my videos. At least the best thumbnail, title, that kind of stuff, because I took into account the suggestions Usagi Electric gave me, and decided to try stepping up my game and seeing what happens, where it takes me. And let's see what's the view count on that one. Right now it would be 180 views. It's been I posted it on Thursday, I think. And it's Sunday now, it's not even a week. And there's quite a lot of comments on that one. And for the size of my channel, I would consider it quite a success. Yeah, Cougar. Hello, Kitty. Yeah, Chipmunk, the only Strouger stuff went to scrap metal. I wish I had a uniselector, let alone a Strouger exchange. I guess that Sam Battle, Look Mom No Computer, has some of that stuff over there in the UK. And of course, on the other side of the pond, there is Connections Museum. I love that channel. Girls like us make the tech. I'm quite fond of Sarah, of her knowledge, of her dedication to keep the exchange running and restoring the parts. Oh, English with Polish subtitles, Aileen. That's an interesting idea. Cynthia, I feel the same, that I wish I had a dozen lives to learn all I want to learn. As for me, I wish a day was 48 rather than 24 hours long. And having a really long life would have its advantages. Yeah, 3 a.m., time for cocktails. Time for cocktails! One moment, please. Where is that? Like that kind of cocktails, Aileen? Nice stuff. Good ginger liquor. Made by Aileen. Well, Chipmunk, I start my streams at 23 hours UTC. That's because I'm pretty busy before that. And I'm definitely a night person, and it's okay for me to stay up late. But yeah, I was also thinking about people for whom it would be a little bit too late to stay on the stream. Sepoland. Yeah, Aileen, it's way better now. "38 hours work days. I'm for extending the day to 48 hours and abolishing capitalism." Okay. So it's gonna be the pi hour pretty soon. Yeah, Aileen, the Poland. I wonder if Dave Jones knows that term. Like Australia, not Austria. It's always a winner. Chicken dinner. Andy, thanks for the advice. Tom Sachs, was it the artist that created a mock-up of the space program of the lunar landing and that kind of stuff in the studio? Because I think I saw that one with what was her name? I had her at the end of my tongue. Oh, the pi hour has passed. Now, Laura Kampf. I think she is friends with Tom Sachs and was in his studio. If I remember it correctly. Quite offensive. Yeah. Yeah, Tom Sachs has quite a lot of space in his place. Yeah, that's the one. Tom Sachs. I like Laura Kampf, how her house restoration projects is going. She made a new video about building the new one, but I haven't watched it yet. It's gonna be interesting. so many problems she encountered with that house restorations, like asbestos, like rotting wood, like ants all over the structure. Lots of nasty stuff hidden in the walls. Alien often mistaken for an Australian. An American, well, a Dutch American with some ancestors close to our city, often mistaken for an Australian. Quite an international background. Good night, Cynthia. Yeah, asbestos. I was a little bit surprised when Fran mentioned asbestos being present in the power cable for that power supply from analog devices. Because in Polish cables, I have never ever seen asbestos being a part of a cable, other than the wires that were used for the melting pot on the monotype machines, because they did contain asbestos as part of the insulation, because it all worked at high temperatures, hundreds of degrees Celsius. Back then they didn't use fiberglass insulation. Now you can get cables with fiberglass insulation with great temperature stability and resistance. Back then, I guess there was no such thing, and if asbestos would be cheaper, then they would use asbestos, because it would be no consideration about it being carcinogenic. It's only later that they found out that it's harmful as fuck when it frays, when it strips, when all those teeny tiny fibers end up in the air and possibly up in your lungs. Biggest fucking mutt. Or maybe biggest fucking muff. You know, that big muff. Laura Camp has become clickbait lately. I wouldn't go as far. Tom's videos are a joy to watch, but no, they don't look flashy or handmade. That's the thing I appreciate. I might watch and I might subscribe to his channel. Thailand popcorn ceilings. At least it conducts portals quite nicely. Asbestos in cables is a myth. I guess that this varies depending on application and the practices of the country. Like if it's used in the States, I don't really know that much about the stuff that's used in the States. Because there are people who have been living and breathing that tech, and I've been living and breathing the Polish and European tech. So I can learn lots from Paul Carson. I can learn lots from Uncle Doug. I can learn lots from Fran on the American and Canadian stuff. And I guess they could learn quite a bit from me on the European stuff. They could learn from Tony Albos, for example. They could learn from Diode Gone Wild and a bunch of other creators who live in Europe and had a lot to do with European tech. Because it all has its quirks, it all has its peculiarities here and there. Things are being made different ways. Like also when I worked at the museum, worked on the monotype casters, I also learned a few things about the British wiring technology with the solid steel tubes and also the flex conduit. And the old cable color coding and the starter switches for the motors. Oh, you restore old sewing machines. Interesting. Eileen. I also like Diode Gone Wild. I learned about the channel through Technical Family Discord. he's quite knowledgeable and also goes takes deep dives when tearing down devices and looking into the switch mode power supply transformers to see how they are built, if the component is any good or is it rubbish. I appreciate it with him, and I also like his project. I like how he built simple projects, maybe in a quick and dirty way, but it works. Yeah, the cat. Remember, people, this is the secret. All of YouTube runs on cats. Like, why is Louis Rossmann so popular? It's because of Mr. Clinton. It's because of BlackBerry. It's because of Oreo. Just kidding you, right, meow? Okay, so the time is coming. The time is coming. Aileen, don't get scared. Ignition? No, we can't scrub it right yet. Ignition. And... woofo! That's the one. Cats rule the world, indeed. Mute the speaker? No, not mute the speaker. I don't have that Fermin. I haven't built it yet. The Kerimin. And it is time to say goodbye. End the stream. See you next time.